Hey everyone on YouTube, it's John. I've probably put my back into that one. Hey everyone on YouTube, it's me. It's Giles. How are you guys doing? I hope you're doing well. So let's see. What the hell was I going to talk about today? I'm going to talk about Iron Maiden today. I've never done a video directly talking about Iron Maiden, and if I seem slightly loose, I bought these desserts tonight. They were profiteroles with like chocolate and stuff, and I was like, profiteroles with chocolate and stuff, that sounds nice. The label said that it has alcohol in it. And I was like, well, you know, some things have alcohol in it. But I ate it, and I'm not pissed. I've got to be very clear on that. But there is definitely alcohol in my system. You know, I definitely feel like I've had my first drink. You know, so I don't know. I hope I don't wake up pregnant. So anyway, I want to talk Iron Maiden today because I don't know. I'm in a musical mood. I saw Praying Mantis, their new wave of British heavy metal legends, and so it's got me thinking about Iron Maiden and whatnot. And oh, by the way, really briefly, thank you everyone for your likes and stuff on the 2 tracks I uploaded. Just digital music, and I labeled them as demos because they're things have gotten better since then. But I'm beginning tentatively on Bandcamp selling digital stuff. So thank you for all that. They've gotten way more views on there than I thought. Like one of them's gone up to 100. For me, that's like Jesus, you know. Anyway, so Iron Maiden, the thing that's gotten me thinking about this is that there's this gossipy article that is going around of, it's a quote from Bruce Dickinson, and he is saying something to the extent of Paul Di'Anno being limited, or reaching the extent of his usefulness to Iron Maiden. Like the press are wording it as please let this cause a fight as possible. You know, they're really trying to make it so that, you know, it's like Bruce Dickinson says Paul Di'Anno's a dickhead. You know, because they want Paul Di'Anno to get pissed off. You know how the press tend to do this. And I'm one of these people that I hate so-and-so versus so-and-so when the worlds are so distinctly different. I mean, for example, you got Halloween, you got Michael Kiske and Andy Deris, and people are constantly going, which one's better, Michael Kiske or Andy Deris? They're such different singers. They are so distinctly different that they're to the point where Halloween have reformed years later after Michael Kiske has been kicked out of the band, and they brought him back, and they don't need to get rid of Andy Deris because the two singers are so fucking different. They can just both be in the same band at the same time. It's brilliant. Although that does raise a question: does that make Halloween count as a supergroup now? This is like a question. I've said many sleepless night this has caused. Does this, like, okay? So even if you don't know Halloween, right? Let's just say a band has punted a few people from itself over the years, and they have gone on to achieve success elsewhere in other bands or in solo work or other endeavours, and then years later the original band brings these people back into it. So although they were original members, does that count as a supergroup? Because, you know, I mean, like, you've got Kai Hansen rejoining Halloween. He's from Gamma Ray, you know, or Unisonic, where Michael Kiske also was, and Dennis Ward, who he's got nothing to do with what I'm talking about, but I you know, he's one of those people I will find any opportunity to talk about Dennis Ward, because I just like him. He seems like a nice man. He's if you don't know, he's the bassist for Pink Cream 69. I don't think he's in Pink Cream 69 anymore. But he is also lead singer of Chimera, the good one, and the people who like the bad Chimera won't take kindly to me referring to Dennis Ward's Chimera as the good one. Jesus, they'll want my guts regardless. But I don't know. I think the bad one is like one of those sort of bands, and I don't really dig that, you know. But anyway, back to Iron Maiden. I don't know where the fuck I went, how I got onto all that shit. So yeah, all right, press wanting Iron Maiden Call the Fight, comparing different things. That's how we got onto this. Darius and Michael Kiske. I went there as an example of two completely different singers. See, I think one singer two singers in Iron Maiden that you can compare are Bayley and Bruce Dickinson. So that was if you're looking at singer chronology, Bruce is the second and fourth singer of Iron Maiden. You had Di'Anno, Bruce, Blaze, Bruce. Well, that's in terms of popularity. We're not talking about anything before the Soundhouse tapes or anything like that. But I think, like, one of the things it's intrigued me is the concept of bands having to evolve over time, and you get a lot of this, especially with new wave of British heavy metal, when people sort of they complain about the genre changing and the genre updating, and bands not playing what they remember anymore. They changed their genre. I think, funnily enough, one of the bands that's gotten the most, in my opinion, that's gotten the most shit for this is Praying Mantis. Funnily enough, speaking of devil, but there's a website called the Metal Archives, and Praying Mantis, I don't know what it is. Like the Metal Archives, I will never, ever, ever take them seriously until they allow Praying Mantis in. They don't want them in because Praying Mantis have come to play a different genre over time. They're more AOR or like hard rock oriented or whatever. It's still good music, but I don't understand how you can do that when Time Tells No Lies is such an important new wave of British heavy metal album. It's like, it's a legend. It's not just a good album, it's an important album. We're talking Captured City, that Captured City featured on Metal for Mothers, which is like one of the most important compilations of new wave of British heavy metal. It's like it's like a big root, big seed that grew lots of different bands. One of them being Praying Mantis, and not grown, but popularised it. It's in terms of the movement, it's very, very important. And for this website that claims to be like the hub of all things metal, then they turn around and go, no, they started playing different things later on. At the very least, if you want to be that much of a child about it, just have a section for that one particular album. And don't get me wrong, the next one and the one after that, and probably the one after that, should all be in there. But I'm just trying to pander to your pathetic nature, just if it's that sensitive, if it's that sore, then just Time Tells No Lies. It's an important album. Stop being a twat. But it's like, bands have to change and adjust, and in order to keep going. I mean, most of the going back to that particular kind of heavy metal, the new wave of British heavy metal, of which, if you're wondering the relevance there, that's the original Iron Maiden, where it was more this sort of relationship the heavy metal had with punk at the time, and that's the demand of Di'Anno, and it's the demand of that whole movement, and the problem with it is it is limited. That's just full stop. You look at any, and we're not just talking heavy metal. You would look at like punk or punk rock from the era. They exhausted, and their fans didn't like them rather quickly. You know, like you've got. I think right now I'm thinking about the Plasmatics. I realise that's not new wave of British heavy metal, but they're a punk band, and you've got people that are like the first and second albums are like brilliant, and then the third album's it's not like it used to be, not in the good old days. The fourth album, not like it used to be, not in the good old days. And then Wendy L. Williams brings out her solo album. My God, these people's heads explode. It was a very good album, but they didn't like it. They didn't like it. It wasn't punk enough. But that's the thing that's led me to believe that punk is well, at least the at its rawest, punk and heavy metal are exhaustible genres. And when you look at Paul Di'Anno in Iron Maiden, I don't think it's. I would disagree with the words Bruce Dickinson has used to describe what what ended his tenure, what logically ended his tenure with Iron Maiden. And I just think it's an exhaustible genre. We didn't want to see a third Di'Anno album. People think they wanted to see one. I don't think you wanted to see a third Iron Maiden. I think if there was a third Iron Maiden Paul Di'Anno album, the die-hard Paul Di'Anno fans would have been disappointed. I think that is an inevitability. And when you look at Paul Di'Anno's career, how he's hopped around, you've got like bands like Battlezone, and he's got his solo project. There's the original Iron Man. That seemed like quite a cool project, although I think it was an asset flip. I'm not too sure. I was reading up that I think that there were like some tracks that like another band did that they just slapped some Paul on it, some pornography. But I mean, there's a song on there called "I've Had Enough." And that's a really good song. I really like that song. But like it just seems to me that he's kept himself fresh by applying himself to different bands. So while Iron Maiden keeps itself fresh by updating and sort of adding new bits and pieces to what they're doing and how they play and what kind of genre they're focusing on and different elements. I mean, you got things like this, the Senjutsu album that was their latest album. The whole thing is like cast iron. It's branded. It's such a good job with just I haven't seen an older band market themselves this well. Like the past couple of Iron Maiden albums, they're good, but they were also a little bit whilst when the same thing has been done a couple of times, it starts to dry out. Like you have to really sort of really shape what you're doing. Like you look at like the Book of Souls, and that's great because first of all, you got book in it, so you can actually make an actual book out of it, which they did. And then you can follow that theme through with like the live thing is like the next chapter and stuff like that. Lots of book themed stuff to be getting on with. But then they go Senjutsu, and you've got this sort of samurai theme, and you can see Bruce's solo project, the Mandrake, and he's kind of doing a similar thing. You're not just releasing an album. It's almost like you're releasing just this entire new entity to market. Like, you're not just marketing Bruce Dickinson or Iron Maiden, you're marketing the album. It's like the album has its own empire to build and to finance and market and merchandise and all the rest of it. I'm a big fan of that. Like, I mean, one of the first albums I listened to was a punk rock album, was Conspiracy of One by The Offspring. If you look at the artwork of that album, it's so simple. It's got that sort of yellow flaming skull thing, and I remember growing up as like a grunge kid at the time, and just that was everywhere. They just created an emblem, and again, it's not the Offspring's emblem. It is Offspring's Conspiracy of One emblem. It's the branding of that album, and you see that emblem on T-shirts, on CDs, and all that sort of stuff. And I'm a huge fan of that sort of stuff. It's like I've been a little bit critical of not to critique too heavily, but like Deep Purple. I love Deep Purple, and I love the music that they still make now, and I have some criticisms of some of the album titles they've done, and and when you think of like them, I realise they're not in their heyday and stuff like that, but they're still going strong, and they're still a very good band, and they're worth better marketing than what they've been doing, and that sort of but. How do you change that? But it's like, I think they've got like an album called Equals One. They got like they have like another round. Like, I was looking at one of their albums because there was a song, one of their newer songs, Vincent Price, about Vincent Price. I love that song, but I looked at the album and it's called Now What, or something like that, and I was just like. It's just, you might as well have just called it "We Farted Out a New Album." It's just sort of like that's not marketable in any way, shape, or form. I mean, they gave it a good go, though. But you've got like an album that your lead single is Vincent Price, and you called it Now What? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, bloody hell, you need. I don't know, you need some buff vampire or something on the front cover, call it The Crypt of Gillen, I don't know. But yeah, I think people, they're going to focus on ability, when it comes to singing, and I've seen it. There's no way to compare Bruce to Di'Anno without sounding like a moron. Not trying to, when you're saying one is good and one is bad, you're going to sound like an idiot either way, because I mean, you could talk about Bruce's range, and you can talk about his storytelling abilities and stuff like that, and Di'Anno was just as good, just in a different way, the only time, the reason why I said earlier that Blaze is comparable to Bruce is because Blaze, as much as I like Blaze Bayley, and I do like Blaze Bayley a lot, his voice, the sound of his voice, was a blatant attempt to replace Bruce Dickinson. And to be fair, that is not easy. I mean, sometimes when like a band loses their lead singer, like at the peak of their popularity or something like that, it's fucking awful. You think about like the how good some of these bands are. You think about Rainbow, how you feel when Dio is like, I'm not in the band anymore. You just be like, well, fuck. So you can either completely change direction. I think, was it Tony Martin that followed Dio? I don't know. I think it was Tony Martin. Because he sung that Lost in Hollywood song. That was in the next album, wasn't it? But I'm like, if you lose like a singer that is so, I think you can sometimes get the difference between like a a singer and a voice, if you know what I mean. Like singer, that's all the academic and stuff like that. But when you get like a voice, that's significantly harder to replace. You know, like if you lose your singer, just, you know, go to the academy and get some rich kid to do it, you know. But if you lose like a voice, someone that has properly crafted how they sound, you know, off their own back, Jesus Christ, you're literally trying to replace a personality. And like, when you think about the individuality of a human being, that's really not easy. And you know, when they lost Bruce Dickinson and they replaced him with Bayley, the sounds in their voices are too similar for me to not believe that they weren't trying to replace him. See, when Deanna leaves and they get Bruce instead, that's not a replacement. You know, you can say as a front man it's a replacement, but in terms of what is being brought to the band, what is gearing the band for a specific sound to uphold a specific status quo, no pun intended, within them. Bruce is not a replacement for Deanna. That is a change in direction, you know. But Blaze is a replacement. They're literally like, Bruce is gone, let's see if we can get another guy that sounds Bruce-ish. You know? And I think that, you know, it's difficult because I think Blaze Bayley really made the best of the time he had. Like they had two quite moody albums, didn't they? But I think he's gone on to, like, he's well, not only has he gone on for his solo career, but there was what was the band that he was in? Wolf. I want to say Wolfpack, but I think that's a Swiss band. That was the band that Mark Sweeney went to after Crystal Ball. Is it Wolfgang? Wolf something to do with wolves, but I think he was doing that before Iron Maiden, and I think he went back to it at some point. I don't know. But yes, so in short, I think Bruce, well, for starters, he's a blinding vocalist, but so is Deanna, and I think Deanna has done better moving to different bands. Whilst Bruce and Iron Maiden, they've stayed fresh by evolving over time. Paul Di'Anno has stayed fresh by applying himself to different bands. You know, because it's almost like that can preserve better who he is, if you know what I mean. Because if he's more you know, his roots are more in punk, that if you're expelling that kind of energy, it can get knackered over time. And I think he's kept it by hopping between bands. He's always maintained what made him so good, you know. Anyway, that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. I have no idea how much it all made sense, but it's been on my mind, so I thought I'd just hit record and have a waffle. Anyway, thanks very much for watching, you brave soul, and I will talk to you very, very soon. See you later.